Yo, what's up? Today I'm going to teach you guys how to sidechain without using a compressor or volume automation. So let's skip all the intro and wasting time shit and let's hop straight into it. So this is a beat that I made in Logic. It's a typical beat. It's nothing crazy, just something quick and simple and easy just to kind of show you guys my strategy that I use for a lot of my basses, for a lot of my subs, and for a lot of my bass patches too at times. So here's the beat. Right, and then you start adding in your sub and your top. Right, and then you got, your melody, counter melody. All right, yeah, so you guys kind of get the gist of it. So what I'm going to do is that when I show you guys how to do this sidechain technique without using a compressor or anything, like it's really going to like blow your mind because it's so simple and a lot of people don't think about it, but very handy. Very handy. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, so usually what we use for sidechain is your sub bass, right? Your kick and your sub. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and unfreeze this, open up my serum, and it's a basic patch, just like a sine wave on my sub, direct out, and then a triangle. Just low pass a little bit of distortion, nothing crazy, right? Your basic warm sub bass. But the trick of it is down here on your attack, just delay it 50 milliseconds. It really depends on the kick and how long your kick is, but the sweet spot that I usually find is at 50 milliseconds. And so what you want to do is that when you hold it back, because when you create a fresh instant of serum, it doesn't matter if you're using serum, phase plant, or massive, you're always going to be able to control the envelope. Right, so whenever you create one, it usually starts at like 0.5 milliseconds. So what you want to do is you want to pull that back to about 50 milliseconds, and then what happens is when you create a new patch, usually you'll be able to like control this curve right here. Right, so usually the curve will be up a little bit like that, but what you want to do is you want to pull it down all the way. So it basically just super nothing and then full signal. Right, and so that's the main trick. If you have this little curve up like that, then like when it comes in, like think about that as your like attack. If you're using a compressor for your sidechain, you're able to control the attack, right? So if this attack is like super delayed, then when it folds in and hits into the kick, it's gonna create like a weird curve. So you don't want to do that. So yeah, so just bring this curve all the way down. So then that way you're giving your kick all this room of fresh nothing just to cut in real quick, and then your sub's gonna hit. So starting it, see how it's gonna sound by itself. Right? You can't really tell the difference. But if we go ahead and solo the kick with it, right? So you can see how like the kick is just kicking super hard. It's like cutting through hella quick, right? And you can just kind of like fill it out, man. Like throw it all the way out, maybe to like 160 milliseconds, and then gradually start to bring it back and then see where it fits just perfectly into where it sounds organic. Yeah, so I mean like 50 milliseconds, like that sounds like perfect. It sounds like it's organic, like it's cutting through and you're getting the same results without using a compressor or volume automation. The trick is that whenever you're doing this, what I do, which I prefer and also recommend, is so you see like at the end of every note length, it's kind of push back a little bit before the next kick hit. What I did in order to achieve that is I did 1/64th, right? So like let's say all of these are long. What you want to do is just go to 1/64th and then just bring back just a tiny bit. So what that's doing is it's allowing the serum patch to stop completely and then restart right before the kick hits again. And I do it on every part where the kick hits. So that way I know for sure that serum is stopping and then restarting right before the kick comes back in. So then that way I know it's ducking for sure. And you can hear it too. Let's say that you have a long tail, like a long release on your sub. That's definitely going to drown out until your next kick hit. So usually like you want to keep the tail pretty short, at least when using this kind of strategy. you can hear it too. Like the kick is just punching all the way. And the thing is that this tip slash trick is really handy. You can use it virtually like anything, especially in like dubstep or with like super saws or whatever you really want to duck inside of your track. But the thing is that it's really important that you gotta create another note hit, you know what I'm saying, right before the kick hits. So then that way you're telling Serum to stop right before a split second and then activate again. And what you're doing by creating those notes is that you're allowing it to basically sidechain itself because those note hits are delayed on the envelope on the attack. Works flawlessly. I'm going to show you guys like another example too, because I did the same thing for my top. I delayed it about 50 milliseconds. Works just as good. And then with my super saws too, I did the same exact thing. I just delayed them 50 milliseconds. And so actually too, so since we adjusted the delay on the sub to 60, I'm just going to go ahead and push this up to 60 as well, just so everything sounds a little bit fluent and cohesive. So now if I solo like just the saws, so you can already hear it. It's already like it's side chaining itself. Like I already have like a ghost kick hooked up to it somewhere on a bus and it's being activated through like a click somewhere, but it's really not, dude. It's just delayed. And the same thing applies here. So you'll have your note and then at the end of the note, you just 1/64th rate, just bring it back just a smidget, just so that way you know that Serum's going to reset again. So it takes away and then it goes back in on the note hit. I'll let you guys hear it with the kick as well. And then you guys can kind of just like see it as it's moving in motion, and then it'll hopefully make a little bit more sense. And the kick is cutting through super fat, and that's what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like that is what you want, especially in your mix downs, because a lot of things can clutter up the kick, either it be from lack of EQing in your mix down, or just it has to fight through so much information. A great thing about the strategy too is that it's perfect to use. Let's say that you're working on a track and you have like 40 tracks, right? If you're putting compressors on all of those tracks or most of those tracks, it can cause and take up like a lot of CPU. And at the end of the day, if you can kind of ease off on the excessive amount of plugins that you're using, then your DAW's going to run faster. When it's time for you to mix and master everything, you can add more in your post-processing because you don't have to worry about like 20 compressors being activated or going off and on and waiting for signal. So it cuts down on not only your workflow, but also on how much CPU you're saving. So you can just continue to keep working on your track and not have to worry about like your CPU failing. So yeah, it's a great trick. I highly recommend it. It's super great for kicks, snares, whatever you want to do. If you're making dubstep, like I said, just make a note and then make sure it cuts off super quick, like a little bit right at the end, and then make another note as soon as your kick or your snare hits, and then it's basically sidechaining itself. And it sounds so good. And to me personally, it sounds a lot better than using a compressor too, or volume automation for that point. It just sounds a lot more fluent and natural like this. Yeah, hopefully this helps you guys, and hopefully this can help you guys tighten up your mixes a little bit. And yeah, we'll keep it at that. So yeah, let's wrap it up and get out of here, and peace.